Hey guys, what is up, RxBots here, and welcome to Elite Dangerous. Today I'm going to be running through a quick tutorial of a sort, and I'm hoping to do more of these because they do sort of seem not there on YouTube. So I would like to try to do some videos. Today's video, or tutorial, whatever you want to call it, is going to be on outfitting your ship. What kind of stuff you want to use when you're putting together your ship, what's some good loadouts, and really just how it works. This is going to be more of a beginner guide. Obviously, if you know a lot about the game, you're probably not going to want to use it. I'm no professional, but I do definitely want to help out the beginners. If you don't already have this game, I would highly suggest getting it. It's an awesome game. It's called Elite Dangerous. It's like 40 bucks or something like that on the Steam store. And I probably will be doing some Let's Plays of it, so do look for that on my channel. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hop right into the video. So I'm here in a brand new Cobra Mark III. I literally just bought it, so I have not upgraded or modified a single thing on this thing yet. So we're gonna start with our hard points. Now, if you look right here, it'll say F1 and then the 2, which is like a little dimmer. Now the F is the rating of the weapon. That's essentially how effective said weapon is. The 1 is the size of the weapon, and then the 2 underneath it is the maximum size of the weapon, or the size of the hard point. So if you look right here, that laser looks really tiny for the space that it's in. So what I can do is I can come into here, I'm going to go to class descending. Now you see here, this is E2, D2, F2, whatever. So this is telling me all of these weapons are class 2, all the way down till this cannon. So most of the time, if you have a class 2 hardpoint, also known as a medium hardpoint, you want to get a class 2 weapon, or a class 3 for class 3 hardpoint, or whatever. So now we're going to look at weapons. Now, in order to effectively take down a ship, you're going to want 2 different types of weapons. You want your thermal weapons, like lasers, to quickly be able to take down your shields. And the laser weapons and plasma accelerators are actually different. They do really bad at shields, but for most thermal weapons, especially the ones that hit more often, they deal a large amount of damage to the shields. So you want something like that. Now I'm going to go with a cheap weapon. Let's say I'll go with a burst laser. Now if you look here, these right here are the quick specs of the weapon. So this is the name of the weapon. Then you have that little symbol right here. Now that right there means it's gimballed. I would assume you've already figured this out, but if you haven't, basically gimballed means if it's within your sight to an extent, it'll lock onto the target and fire at it. This one means it's turreted, meaning if you look at this, basically anything from probably about right here all the way till in front of your ship, like not below it, that thing's going to be able to shoot at it, and also sideways. And it'll just shoot on its own, and I'll actually explain how that works, probably, if I don't forget. And then this right here means it's fixed, and that means you're going to have to aim it yourself. However, fixed weapons do the most damage, and turreted weapons at least. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy a burst laser. And we can see that our new burst laser is much bigger. It looks much nicer. Now for our second medium hardpoint, we're going to want something that will be able to take the shields down quickly. So I'm thinking I go with a gimballed multi-cannon. A gimballed multi-cannon is a kinetic damage, and it shoots bullets. And that'll be able to take down the hull. I'm sorry if I said shield. That'll be able to take down the hull quickly. So with this burst laser, we can drop the shields, and then with this multi-cannon, we can drop the hulls. Now for me, I actually really like to use a lot of multi-cannons just because they're very, very, very effective at taking out hulls. So I'm going to put 2 more gimballed multi-cannons here. Now, weapons I would suggest against using is the fragment cannon. Now, the fragment cannon is actually very good if you know how to use it and you're in a maneuverable enough ship. However, it only has 30 ammo, so you really can't deal too much damage with it. The missile rack can be good occasionally, but again, it doesn't have that much ammo at all, and it's not worth it for the weaponry. Plus, it's expensive. Railgun is very good if you know how to use it, and it deals thermic kinetic energy or damage, so it's both. But they're all fixed, so you have to aim it yourself. The cannon is pretty good. It's a lot more damage dealing. It's a lot more powerful against bigger ships, because, and I'll probably do a combat video, but because if you actually lock on to their power plant, then that can deal a hell of a lot of damage to the power plant. Mine launcher I don't like to use, but I've seen some people that know how to use it very effectively. And torpedo pylon is probably the worst weapon in the game because it does deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and it is an amazing weapon. However, it only carries one torpedo, at least for the small hardpoints. It only carries one torpedo, and that one torpedo costs 15,000 credits in order to buy or to reload. So meaning, the torpedo itself costs more than the torpedo pylon. It would actually be cheaper to sell the torpedo pylon and buy another one, which is kind of sad. So I'm going to buy myself another gimbal multi-cannon. And there we go. So now we have 2 gimbal multi-cannons and a gimbal beam laser and a gimbal multi-cannon. So now if you look here, these are both class 2, these are both class 1. Now obviously these aren't the best weapons, except if you're getting gimbal or turreted, they're not going to be the best anyway. Now let's look at utility mounts. For your utility mount, this really depends on the kind of ship that you're trying to build. So one of the most popular ships that I've seen are the bounty hunters. So if you're going to be a bounty hunter, you definitely want to have a kill warrant scanner. I'm just going to go with the cheapest kill warrant scanner because I don't feel like spending more money. And I always like to have a shield booster, especially on the Cobra. It has really bad shields. So yeah, I always like to get a shield booster. And basically what the shield booster does, if I didn't already explain that, if you look here, it has a pretty high power draw, but it basically multiplies my shields times 1.2. So the shields on the Cobra are like 93, if I remember correctly. So that makes the shield 93 times 1.2, which is roughly 140, something like that, maybe. So now, if you look over here, you have to pay attention to these. This is deployed is 10.84 and available is 10.4, meaning if we deploy our weapons without modifying some sort of power management, it's going to cut everything off and we're going to be stuck on life support. So in order to fix that, we're going to want a bigger power plant. So now for the power plant, typically you can just go with price ascending, and you can just buy the most expensive one, and generally they'll have the best power capacity. I'm not sure what I want our power capacity to be, so I'm actually going to go and I'm going to buy some stuff first. So now let's look at thrusters. Now for thrusters, of course, you want a higher class and a higher rating. So the best one we can get for this that will fit our mass and our budget is C4. So our optimal mass, and you can see our current mass is 269. Our optimal mass is 350 versus that is 315. So these are actually better. So even now it does say optimal, so technically you should be closer to your current mass, but that's not how it works, unfortunately. So you want to have, basically, if these are blue, then it's better. Now the problem is this has a higher power draw, but these are nicer thrusters, so I'm going to buy these. Now upgrading thrusters not only upgrades the speed on your ship, but it also upgrades the maneuverability. Alright, so now let's look at our alloys. Now I can buy any of these. I'm just going to get reinforced alloys for now, and basically all these do is they keep your hull from getting as damaged. Now these don't protect any internal components, so if you're getting shot at, they'll still be able to damage your thrusters or blow up your power plant or something like that if they hit it in the correct place. However, if they're just shooting at your hull, like right here or something like that, these will protect them against it. Reinforced alloys are the cheapest ones. Yeah, they're the cheapest ones, and they just increase your hull protection. Military-grade composite is a little bit more expensive, and it gives you much better hull protection. And then these two are sort of trade-off. The mirrored surface gives you really good resistance against lasers, but not very much against kinetic. And this gives you a whole lot against kinetic, but not very much against lasers. Now, typically what I like to have is this or that, because once they bring your shields down, if it's any smart fighter whatsoever, they'll swap to kinetic weapons. But for a lot of NPCs, they'll continue firing lasers at you. So it's really a matter of your choice. Alright, if anybody was wondering, I am playing this with an Xbox One controller, just so I have some joysticks, because I can't actually afford a joystick. Now let's look at our frameshift drive. Frameshift drive, if you haven't already guessed, is basically what allows you to warp between star system to star system. And we can basically drop all of these into our ship. Now, if you look down here, this right here is our jump range, and this is what the frameshift drive really matters. So right now, I just look at my current is 9.97. So obviously, we don't want to buy this 507,000 credit frameshift drive if it's only going to lower our mass, but not raise our frameshift distance. Now this right here looks like a good buy. It raises it from 9 to 14. That's pretty good. Most of these other ones, actually none of these other ones are really good. Mostly because I think this is the only one that is a class 4. Other than this one, which shows it's 21, but that's expensive. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this. And now we have a 14 light year jump range, so we can get pretty far. I mean, it's not amazing, but again, I'm outfitting this for bounty hunting, not exploration. Life support, what it does is, if your canopy is breached, meaning they land enough hits on your canopy itself, which is this area here, where you sit. If they break the glass in your canopy after your shields have gone down, you'll be put onto life support. Really, all life support does is it gives you a longer time for before you suffocate. Now, what I do, I actually like using stealth builds. So what I'll do, or if you're smuggling, if you want to lower your ship's heat signature, is you can get a nicer life support system, and you can just turn your life support off for like 25 minutes and be almost completely invisible to other ships or police ships for smuggling. So that's pretty good. But for this ship now, I'm assuming that if I do go into life support, then 5 minutes should be enough time for me to get back to a station, or I'll just get blown to hell. I've really only had to use life support like twice in my entire time of playing this game. So for power distributor, just make it a rule of thumb, you always get the best power distributor. Always. They're not that expensive, and what they do is they increase how long it takes for your weapons to overheat, I think it does how much damage laser weapons deal. It also increases how much you can boost, how long it takes before your boost recharges, and also how quickly your shields recharge. So that is definitely a good thing to have for your power distributor. Now sensors, those really are just like how your scanning works. You can really just choose that whatever. For a bounty hunter, I'll just get the 6 kilometer, just cause. And even though this is a higher rating, well, which means it's probably faster, I'm gonna go with this one because it's the same range and it's a lower power draw. So now for a fuel tank, you always probably want to have the biggest fuel tank. I mean, it doesn't give you any more mass or anything, so I would just say always have the biggest fuel tank you can get. Now for here, your cargo racks, if you look here, these are class 3 when you could have class 4. So for a bounty hunter, cargo really isn't that necessary, but I do always like to have a cargo rack on. So just for simplicity, I'm going to set this to module type. Alright, so here are cargo racks. I'm just going to get a 16 cargo rack. And then here, since my guy is a bounty hunter, first thing I'm going to get is a hull reinforcement package. So that's an E4, D4. Alright, I'm going to get the D4 hull reinforcement package, which just gives me much better armor on top of my lightweight, or I'm going to get reinforced alloys too, because I might as well. On top of my reinforced alloys, okay? Actually, you know what? I'm going to sell those, because I'm going to need to save some cash. Alright, so now that we have that, we'd probably want a better shield generator, just in case, because if we're any sort of fighter whatsoever, our shield shouldn't go down, except if we're taking on a big ship, we definitely want to have a good shield generator. Now, just for the sake of this video, because I don't have a ton of money left, this probably would be the best one to get. I'm not going to get that one. I'm probably going to go with, I'll just go with this one here. I'm just not going to buy a shield generator. But you definitely want to get the top-of-the-line shield generator for your ship. Right. Now, another thing that you definitely want when it comes to being a bounty hunter is you want shield cell banks, because those things will save your life something awful. And I just get as many of them as you possibly can. Even if it puts you way over your power limit, just get as many as you possibly can. I'll explain how to use those a little bit later. I also always like to have a docking computer. They're fairly cheap. I don't know exactly where they are. Here we go. Yeah, they're fairly cheap, and basically it just allows you to dock your ship automatically. If you suck at docking, all you have to do is just get docking permission, stop the ship, and it will automatically dock your ship for you. So that's pretty nice. Alright, so now we have a bit of a problem. Also, sorry if I'm talking fast, you're welcome to go rewatch this. We have a bit of a problem. When we're deployed, our power usage is 14.37 and available is 10. So that can be an issue. So let's look at our power plan. Now I have about 500,000 credits, so I can't afford that one, but I can't afford this one. Okay, so alright, I'm gonna go with the 13 right there. So that's 13, and our maximum is 4.37. But that's not a huge problem because of our shield cell banks. I'll explain how those work in just a sec. Alright, so now let's go to library. So I actually have a paint job for my Cobra, but for your library you unlock all kinds of symbols depending on what ranks you are. So since this is going to be a bounty hunter, I'm going to put expert combat stuff in it just because those look the coolest. Or you can put merchant for if you're a merchant class or whatever. So you have that. And then for paint job, you can buy paint jobs online. This is the paint job I have, so it looks cooler. And it does look particularly badass when you apply or remove the paint job. Yeah, so I do like how that looks. Alright, so now that we're all set up, let's look at our system. So in our modules, you see that our usage is at 110%. Now, let's go to our shield cell bank and disable one of those. Now we're at 101%. And then I would say disable the cargo hatch for now, because the cargo hatch is rarely used. You can probably disable the standard docking computer too, because you don't really use that unless you're docking. But messing with this is very, very, very important. So over here, I can't use the mouse, sorry. My bad. So, alright. So here, you see where it says priority. You can set it 1 to 3. Now, on my ASP, for nicer ships, you can actually set it 1 to 4. But what you want to do is you want to choose which stuff is most important to you. So thrusters are going to be speed and agility. For a bounty hunter, that's definitely important, so I want that to be 3, as well as shield generator.
Shields online.
Now, if you look here, at the bottom where it says usage, 3 is a large area, so you don't want to put too much more into 3. Now, the shield booster, that's what makes your shields a little bit higher, is also pretty important, so I'm going to set that as a 2. And I'm also going to set all my weapons to 2. I'm going to set my bigger weapons to 2, actually. Now, shield cell bank, that's not terribly important because all that does is recharge our shields, but if you want to set that to 2, you can. Cargo hatch, you definitely don't want to be at 2 because really all that's for is just picking up cargo, and as a bounty hunter that's not useful anyway, but if you're going to be a pirate, you might want to have a nicer cargo hatch. Power distributor, I definitely want to set at 3 because that's what gives me all my boost and stuff like that. Sensors aren't terribly important, life support isn't terribly important, and I'm going to keep those at 1 as well. Okay, so now let's go to fire groups. And also, if you look, my usage is fairly evened out for between 1, 2, and 3. Now let's go to fire groups. So what I try to do is I try to keep stuff fairly even. So I'm going to just do that. So holding down left trigger on my remote, or I'm assuming right click, I would guess, whatever, is firing the burst laser, and then holding down right trigger or left click is going to be firing these multi-cannons. Or it might be backwards for the mouse, I don't know. And then over here, this right here is our second fire group, is going to be, let's say, left trigger is going to be my kill warrant scanner. And sorry if I'm confusing you, maybe it's right click, I'm not totally sure, I'll figure it out. And right trigger is going to be the shield cell banks. Now, do bear in mind, I'm only going to have one of these enabled at a time, because if I enable both of them, then my usage goes up too high. So I'm only going to have one enabled at a time, and as soon as this one runs out, and I have 4 uses, or maybe it's 3, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's 4. No, I think it's 3, whatever. As soon as that one runs out, I just disable that one and enable the next one. So my ASP has 3 of those, and they all have 4 each. So I just use all 4, and then I'll drop one, and I'll go to the next one. Use all 4, drop one, and go to the next one. And using that, I can take out probably 3, 4 anacondas before I have to go get more. It's pretty awesome. So now that's set up, you want to go over to functions. Now this right here is going to be all the stuff about your ship. Alright, so beacon, I like to keep my beacon on because if I am in a wing, then it's a good thing to be together for your friends to be able to know where you are. Those are your ship's headlights. You can see in the corner of my screen, it's just turning on and off. Flight assist is, I would suggest if you're new to the game, keep flight assist on. But once you get really good at flying, you can fly a lot better with flight assist off, but it's a lot harder to fly. Rotational correction it basically just keeps you from spinning. Now your turret weapon mode, I don't have any turreted weapons, but there are 3 different turreted weapon modes, which is forward fire, target or something like that, and fire at will. Target only and fire at will. So forward fire acts as if it was a fixed weapon. I don't like to use these at all because you might as well, if you're going to use forward fire, you might as well get a fixed weapon, which is significantly more powerful than a turreted weapon. But I like to keep mine at target only, because if it's at fire at will, that thing's going to shoot at anything and everything it sees that is red on your radar. So if you don't want it to shoot at something, like say a cop, because you can get bounties for shooting at cops even if they're already aggroed on you, then I like to keep it on target only, especially in war zones, because otherwise you just get like 20 ships attacking you because that thing already shot 20 ships. Definitely turn pre-flight checks off just because those are annoying. And most of the other stuff I don't really worry about. Now, if something does go offline in your ship, do a reboot/repair. It takes a few seconds, but you have a chance of getting your stuff back online. Over here's your status, and I'm sure you already know about this, but you just want to make sure stuff is good and stuff. Yeah. Alright. So I'm going to take this thing out for a spin, and I'm going to see how it works when it comes to bounty hunting. So just testing the top speed, because we did upgrade the thrusters. The top speed of the Cobra is normally about 230, if I remember correctly. And now you see it's getting pretty damn high. And the boost speed is normally, I think it's 402. And that thing got up to 414. So yeah, increased thrusters definitely make a difference. So that is definitely something notable. Also, I would suggest if you're going to be flying around a lot, you probably want to have your power diverted to engines. I normally keep mine at this setup, which is left, 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 up, or it's right, 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 left, 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 up, up, right, right. Something like that, or I'll do that. So, I call that my combat mode, and I have something that looks like this attack that I'm setting up for. Anyway, I'm going to take this to a high-intensity resource extraction site and see what kind of kills I can make with it. Okay, so some asshat's trying to interdict me. I think I'm just going to submit to the interdiction and see what I can do. Just because this isn't a commander, unfortunately. It'd be a lot of fun if he was. He probably would have this guy. But this guy apparently wants whatever cargo I have, which is nothing. Let's see what kind of ship he's on. Okay, so he's an adder. Adder under attack. So I'm just gonna pop up a little bit. I'm gonna use my first laser to take the shields down, and I'll work with going combat. But so I very quickly dropped the shield, and I shielded my beam laser. Great job. And now I'm just gonna come here now. So since a lot of my cannons are below the ball, I gotta come out flat, otherwise I'm gonna miss it. And you see he's already at 58. And I'm just now having to load. I do come around quite quickly.
Flight assist off.
I turn flight assist off for the turn just to make the turn a little sharper.
Flight assist off.
He seems to be going pretty quick, but he's already down to pretty low health.
Target shields online.
His name is Dover, and that's funny. So I tear apart his shields with
target shields offline.
And just like that, he is already out of here. And there's a 17,000 credit bounty already. Alright guys, well, I'm not going to do much more combat because I have no reason to. I'm going to make a quick montage of me taking out some ships at the resource site. So, do enjoy that.
Target shields offline. Target destroyed. Target destroyed. Target destroyed.